Hello there. So I know a lot of people have been asking whether there are any latest news from Kivu, and I can tell you that things have not changed. The fighting goes on as usual. As a matter of fact, today in the morning, starting last night and the late hours of yesterday, through the night and today early morning hours, there have been heavy bombardment and sharing of MONUSCO base camp and the South African Development Community troop base camps. They're located not far from the town of Sake, particularly in this territory called Mubambiro. Mubambiro is a hill. So as you know, this is the city of Goma, and when we move 19-20 kilometers to the west, we come to Bambiro, right? And far from Bambiro, you have Mubambiro, right? And this is where we have the camps. And one of the camps is a MONUSCO camp. The other one is, I'm trying to get the MONUSCO camp here. And the other one is the one that has the Tanzanian troops there. So as you can see, this is the MONUSCO camp here. The white, these are tents, right? And these are other structures there. And from what I'm hearing, 11 soldiers were injured, and close to 2 of them actually died, right? So this is the UN Sake camp. I just discovered it. So this is actually the MONUSCO camp we are talking about. This white, all of this is the MONUSCO camp. The one that is here, this is the South African community camps. This is where they were sharing today in the morning. Mortars were landing in this camp, and others were landing south in the MONUSCO camps. So you can see these 2 camps. This is the Indian contingent. In French, they're saying the contingent de India. So this is the Indian contingent. So we are talking about Indian troops, part of the United Nations peacekeeping. We're also talking about the South African troops and the Tanzanian part of the SADC troops. So these 2 camps have come under heavy bombardment and sharing from the Rwandan stroke M23 troops, right? These are the Rwandan proxy troops in Congo. So they have come under heavy bombardment, and a lot of people have said that the shelling could be coming from these hills here, not far from Mushaki. So they are using these mobile mortars. You can move around with these mortars or mounted on those pickup trucks, the TAC trucks, or what we call the technicals, right? And so they've been shelling these camps here in Mubambiro. And if you're from Congo, you can go to the comment section below and tell us, especially if you're from this region of Sake, which is Mubambiro, you tell us whether you've heard this explosion that have been going on for the last 24 hours. And the other thing you need to know is that about 11 soldiers were injured, and 2 of them actually died. We don't know whether they are from the MONUSCO camp, which is also a camp that has Tanzanian peacekeepers, or they are from the South African or the SADC camp, the SADC mission for Congo. And that is the current situation. The Rwandans and these M23 Rwandan proxies have not stopped attacking. They keep doing this every day. It's only that it has become the new normal. Earlier this week, on Sunday and Monday, there was still heavy fighting in this territory of Shasha. This is in the Bahunde territory. So as I told you in another video last week, this territory is now under the Wazarendo, the local militia, young men and women. So that is what is happening. And another thing that I need to mention is that last week, the Congolese government returned or reinstated the death kind of sentencing. And in this case, they've reinstated hanging or shooting people who have been charged with death. they were considering removing death as a sentence and opting for the life sentence, but now they've gone back to having death sentencing. And the reason behind this is also because Congo is actually in a wartime, and they have so many cases of their troops not following orders, sometimes not even committing crimes here. And the only way to punish that through the court martial is through the death sentence, or to shoot this type of soldiers. The other thing is these Rwandan rebels who are coming to now Congo. They are not because Rwanda denies that it's backing them. So in other words, they're not being supported by any country. They are like mercenaries or terrorists. They are actually terrorists in Congo. And when they are captured, we've seen videos of these M23 fighters being captured. They cannot be treated in the same manner a soldier would. You know what we call the Geneva Convention, where you keep prisoners of war. So they can't be treated that way. They have to be executed. You can't keep them in jail so that one day you trade them with Rwanda. Rwanda denies them, so you can't trade them with Rwanda. If during the time they were committing these crimes, Rwanda was denying that they are the ones supporting them. So then they are not prisoners of war. Then they have to be killed. So if they are caught, they get the death sentence in Congo. But today in the morning also, and we are talking about it today, there was a court case going on in Goma. 11 Congolese army soldiers, officers, the FRDC. These are officers, not servicemen. You know, guys with rank, the captains, the colonels, the lieutenants, those ones. They were charged with the cowardice. It's a charge where if you abandon your position and you leave behind those expensive equipment to this M23, it is now a crime in Congo, in the Congo army, called cowardice, and you can be charged. And previously they've charged this kind of soldiers who abandon their position, and the sentencing is usually death sentence. So now that they've reinstated the death sentence itself, these 11 officers are going to be sentenced to death. They are going to be shot or to be hanged. I don't know which one. But now that is something to think about. If you are an officer in the Congo army, you better fight, because abandoning or telling your troops to run away means that you could be charged with this crime. And of course, we are going to see a lot of Congo soldiers, officers running away or deserting the army and joining the M23 rebels. We are going to see a lot of that, because the guy will be going back to Goma and getting charged with cowardice or joining the M23. So you're going to see a lot of them running to the other side and fighting for Rwanda to destroy their own country. So that's how it works. But it's not even the first time. Going back to 1997, we've had cases where the Congo troops would abandon new T-60 to T-55 tanks and T-60, I think, to T-63 tanks there on the road, and the rebels led by Laurent Kabila would come across these heavy weapons. By the time Laurent Kabila and his child soldier army, together with the Rwandans, rolled up on Kinshasa, they were driving very shiny armor. They had these tanks. They were riding in. They were coming there with artillery that had been abandoned by the Congolese army. Now, people at the time said that it's because the Congo army doesn't like the dictator Mobutu. But fast forward to 2005, when we had Joseph Kabila, the son of Laurent, the same thing happened. They would abandon the equipment, new equipment. The same thing is happening today. Congo has been buying a lot of new modern equipment from Turkey. Expensive guns, expensive thermal goggles, those thermal goggles that help soldiers to see in the rain or at night, even night visions. They've been given all those things. They've been given beautiful guns, and we've seen most of those guns in the hands of the M23 after the soldiers actually abandoned them and ran away. We've seen serious mortars, some beautiful mortar shells that are used by infantry that were purchased by Congo, being abandoned in wooden boxes, cartons full of these boxes in the trenches, and they run away. They leave all these weapons, and the next day the M23 is using the same mortar shell to shell their camps. And the shells they're using are not the shells they got from Rwanda, because you have to understand, for the M23 to be resupplied, to get ammunition, to get medicine, it has to leave Rwanda, go through the border to Uganda, cross to Bunagana, go through the Ruchuru territory, and then get to them. So it's the logistic for arming and supplying M23 is very tough. So most of the time they end up with this ammunition from the Congo army, because they are abandoning them in the battlefield. At the slightest sound of gunfire, at the slightest explosion or detonation of a mortar, some Congolese officers have been known to tell their troops to abandon that position and run as fast as they could. Sometimes they even abandon their own guns, their rifles there. Sometimes they even run away, leaving some food cooking. You find some videos M23 coming upon some abandoned positions with the food that is still cooking. So that is what is happening in Congo. The war is going on. The government there keeps improving. They've come up with this way of making sure that the troops have to fight or they end up in jail, and they're also trying to basically do what they can. And the M23 rebels are a serious threat. As I just said at the beginning of this video, they've been sharing MONUSCO camps. They've been sharing these South African troops camps in Mubambiro for the past 24 hours, and